All right, good morning. So we're going to do a homework walkthrough for chapter 3.3. This is standard deviation, and we'll see how far we can get, okay? So I think my screen is shared, so you should be able to see this. I'm going to double check it a little bit later. But we're given a bunch of numbers, and they say find some standard deviations and work on with that. So I want to just get to our homework walkthrough rather than try to do the theoretical underpinnings of all of this. So we're just going to try to get started. So I've got my little calculator emulator here. You guys are expected to have a TA 30 or 83 or 84. Okay, it doesn't matter which one. But all we're going to do, we're going to go to stat. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and clear my data just to make sure if there's nothing in it. So if you started off with like for the previous homework, we're going to clear it. So clear, I'm going to say list one. So it's second function one for say list one. So we're just going to clear it, done. So we're going to go stat, edit, we're going to calc. Okay, and now it's asking us like, okay, we'd like to put in a bunch of numbers. So we're going to put in, I'm going to have 16. Why are you not, that's why, numlock, there we go. So I want that. So we're going to clear. Okay, so I want 16. And we're just typing in the numbers. So I'm pressing enter. You press enter on the calculator here. Okay, just press enter. It gets the next one. 16, 30, 20, 18, 13. Okay, that's all we're doing is just giving the calculator the values. We're going to go back to stat. Okay, the stat button here. Go over to where it says calc. We're going to give one variable statistics. Now it's going to ask you, it's going to say, what are you doing one variable statistics on? Second function, one, that'll tell it list one. If you just hit enter, you've got to hit enter a couple of times, but it'll take list one as the default. Or you could tell it specifically list one. So I just told it. Okay, and then here we go. What they want to know, what is the sample variance? Okay, so they want to know sample variance. That's going to be the standard deviation squared. Okay, so we're going to take our 6.465 here. How many decimal places do they want? At least two. So we're going to take our SX, which is 6. So we're going to say 6.465299195. I don't think you have to type them all in, but these guys right here, okay. Sample because sample gets the SX. And then we're just going to go to the squared button right here, which is X squared here. Hit that one, enter, and we end up with 41.8. Okay, so our sample variance, 41.8, and then the sample standard deviation, okay, that's going to be the sigma, I'm sorry, the SX here. Okay, don't square it, just the SX, and they wanted to two decimal places. So at 6.465, okay, so we're just going to type in 6.465 here. So this is 6.465. I'm going to double check it. Okay, 6.465. I would run around eventually. So if they just wanted two decimal places, I guess I could type in 6.47 and have that work. But we'll go ahead and say that's good. And one of the things I have to figure out how to do here is how to go to next. So we're going to scroll this down a little bit. So I'm going to cut this down a little bit because they are taking my entire thing. So we'll say check. Okay, and both of them look good, so that's our deal. So we'll just go on to the next one. So we'll say continue. I'm going to go ahead and move this over so where it's out of the way. Okay, kind of like where my head is. It's out of the way, I hope. So continue. Okay. And now we're going to do population variance. Okay, so we're given a whole set of new numbers. So they want us to practice entering these things in a lot. So we're going to go to stat. We're going to go to edit. We're going to hit clear list. So I'm going to go ahead and say clear list. Second function one. So we're clearing list one. Enter. So we're going to go back to stat. We're going to say edit. So we're going to give it some numbers. So we're just going to type in. We're going to say, okay, I'd like 16, 6, 20, 12, 45. There's my list of numbers. So we're going to go to stat, calc, one variable statistics. What would you like to do one variable statistics on? List one, of course. enter, and we'll have that. So the population variance, so then we have to use the funky sigma number here, okay? So this guy down here, SX, the sigma X here, that is our population standard deviation. So we're going to type in 6.5238, and I'm going to stop at 6.5238. Okay, so we're going to say 6.5238. Okay, that's where I got this number from right here. Okay, and we're going to go back to the x squared because variance is the standard deviation squared. Hit enter. And what did they want this to for decimal places? They wanted this to at least one decimal place. So we're just going to say 42 point, that 5 is going to go to a 6. So it's 42.559. We're going to say this is 42.6. Okay, so the sample variance, 42.6, 42.6. We'll bring that back up. Okay, 42.6. That's how I got that number. And in the sample, I'm sorry, the population standard deviation, we're going to be hitting this guy right here with the sigma. It looks like a sideways 6. Okay, with this SX here, this is 6.5. They just wanted one decimal place, so that's all we're going to pick. So we want 6.5 here, so we're going to say rate 6.5, and then we're going to check. Okay, cross fingers, hope for the best. It looks like we're doing okay. Go to the next one, and we'll see what that's going to do. Now they're just going to give us more. So if you don't have a calculator, these are going to take a much longer amount of time. You don't want to do this by hand. Okay, that is not the point of this class. If you're doing this by hand, you're doing this wrong. Okay, so they don't want us to do this by hand. They just want us to type in the values into the calculator and get those numbers. So let's see. We have efficiency miles per gallon for a sample. So notice they said sample in the description, sample of convertibles and sample sports cars. And they want the average, they want the standard deviation for the sample of convertibles. So we're just going to find ourselves the convertible models. We're just going to type these numbers in. So we're going to go back to stat. We're going to go ahead and clear the previous list out. So I'm going to say clear list. Okay. Which list would you like to clear? Second function 1. So list 1 should sit there. And then we're going to go back to stat. And it's going to say we'd like to edit. And we're just going to type these numbers in. So we're going to have 24, 21, 21. Let's see. Do we have 321s? It looks like I have 321s, 20, and 25. Okay. So hopefully that wasn't too bad. Okay. So 24, double check, 21, 21, 21, 20, and 25. We're going to go back to stat. We're going to say calculate. I want one variable statistics. What would you like that on? I would like that on list 1. And we're going to hit enter. And there it is. Okay, this was specifically a sample. There are more convertibles than they have given us here. Okay, so this is not a population of convertibles. This is a sample of convertibles. All right, so that's important to get the reading in here. Okay, in a sample of sports cars. So they want, what is the sample standard deviation of the convertibles? So one decimal place. So we're going to say, oh, that's 3.726. They just want 1. So we're just going to say 3.7 here. Okay, so it's going to say 3.7. And that is our standard deviation here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and check. Fingers crossed. Okay, they didn't like that. Standard deviation of a sample of convertibles. Did I type the right numbers in? Let's see here, double check miles per gallon to make sure we have the right variable. Okay, so this would be a ratio level thing here. So we're going to go back to stat. We're going to say edit so we can double check here. I've got 24, 21, 21, 21, 20, 25. So we're going to hit that again. Calc, one variable stats. We're just double checking here. My apologies. Oh, I know why. Okay, let's get rid of all of that. They wanted a sample standard deviation. I think I gave them. No, I did. Oh, I didn't. I didn't give them a sample standard deviation. I picked the sideways 6. That's population. They want 4.1. Okay, they want 4.1 because it's a sample. So we want S. Okay, so we have 4.1. There we go. So we check that one. Okay, now they're much happier. They are not much happier. They still want convertibles. Okay, but then how many? At least one decimal place. I don't know why they don't want us to do this. So we're going to double check. Edit. Okay. So we're going to say 24, 21, 21, 21, 20, 25. Okay. Well, then we go back to stat, to calc, one variable stats, second function, list one. Boom. There we go. Sample standard deviation, right? Because it's a sample. So I don't know. Sample standard deviation of the mileage for convertibles. Okay, we wrote down the convertibles, not the sports. We wrote down the convertibles. Okay, round the answer to at least one decimal place. I'll bet that's what they're probably upset with. Okay, so we want one decimal place. So we'll go back and have a look at this. Okay, S. I don't know why they don't like this is 4.1. Okay, we'll try 4.08. We'll see if that does a little bit better. So we'll say 4 point. Maybe they said 1 and they really meant 2. So we check that one. Still don't like it. The mileage of the sample of convertibles is 2.0. Well, I don't know how they're getting that. Sports cars, let's double check to see. Maybe they forgot. So let's go ahead and go back to stat, calc. Let's go ahead and clear my list. Okay, clear list A, second function 1, enter. So let's go ahead and type that in. So what we're going to do is we're going to say stat, and we're going to edit, and we're just going to type in, let's try the convertibles just for the sake of trying them. So it's 28, 21, or 20. That's 18. That should be 18. Sorry about that. 21, 25. Nope. 25, 27, and 23. So let's see. 21, 18, 20. That should go back to being 21. Right? So we have 21, 18, 21. And then we have 25, 27, and 23. Okay. Let's double check. Okay, make sure we've got these guys typed in correctly. That looks okay. And what did they want? They want the standard sample standard deviation. So we're going to hit stat, calc, one variable stats on list 1, enter. And now my sample standard deviation is 3.2. They really don't like any of these here. So I don't know why. Sample standard deviation, they are okay. Maybe it's me. Right? But that's what they did. They said 4.08. I'm not seeing that. So I don't know why their 4.08 is incorrect here. I'm gonna have to double check for them for that one. But I don't like the sample standard deviation for the previous one. I don't like 2.0 either. Standard deviation was not 2.0, and it's not here. Okay, so let me go ahead and pause this for a second. So, all right, well, I double checked it and I went through and put in my values. So we went stat, edit, maybe I went back to convertibles, 24, 21, 21, 21, 20, and 25. We did stat, and we're going to calc one variable statistics. I don't know what happened. Okay. But here my SX is now 2. So okay, now when they got 2, I'm okay with 2. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and double check. I think we're on part 2 here. Sample standard deviation for the knowledge of the sports cars. So let's double check those. I'll pause this and I'll come back. But now I know where they got the 2. It was probably user error of me not typing these things incorrectly. So that's something we have to watch out for. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this for a moment. Okay, so we resume. So all I did here is go through and check our values here. Okay, so we went and we did stat, edit, list. This is a sports car, so I just typed those guys in instead. Okay. I feel you guys are looking at this, you're like, I don't like the red X's. I feel your pain. Okay, 25, 27, 23. So we did that. So we go back to stat, calc, one variable stats, list one, double check, list one, boom. And then what do they want? They want the sample standard deviation. So I want S, okay, for the sports cars. So we want one decimal place. So we're going to go through and we're going to hit 3.2. Okay, so that's what we're going to have there is 3.2. 3.2. Check. Hooray. All right, that has. So it says, which one has the greater spread? Well, standard deviation is a measure of spread. So which one's bigger? It should be 2 versus 3.2. The sports cars clearly have the bigger spread. 3.2 is a bigger number than 2.0. So we're going to go ahead and say the spread for the convertibles is less than the spread for the sports cars. Okay. Hopefully we're okay with that. And we'll just continue. Okay, so that's what they're asking us to do. All right, now we got a much larger numbers. Okay, we want breweries from east and west of the Mississippi, so it's pretty much the same idea as before. If you guys don't mind, I'm going to pause it so I can go ahead and type in these values, and then we'll go ahead and show you what's going on. So we'll pause, and I keep going. Okay, so where's my pause? There it is. All right, so welcome back to this. So all I did was go through and find the breweries on the east, so we go through that. And I just type these guys in the way that they are on the table. Okay, 16, 20, 76, 46, 14, 19. I guess that should be 14, 19, 20, and 18. There we go. Okay, I did it right. So they want, what is the sample standard deviation of the breweries east of the Mississippi? So we're going to go ahead and hit stat, calc, list one. Okay, go ahead and hit our list one. And then we have our sample, right? We want sample standard deviation. So we want S, because that's our sample. 26. How many decimal places do they want? One decimal place. So it looks like we have 21.6. So we're going to type in 21.6 here. All right. 21, 20. Nope, that's 5. Backspace 21.6. And then we'll go ahead and pause for a second here. All right, so we went through, we did that. So we had our sample standard deviation. Double check. Okay, I've got my microphone here. One decimal place, 21.6. So we're going to check. Fingers are crossed. It did not like that at all. Okay, why did not like this? Breweries east of the Mississippi. East of the Mississippi. Let me double check. Stat. Okay, edit. 16, 20, 76, 46. Okay, so there we go. 14, that's right. 19, 20, 18. Wait a minute, that might be 14, 20, 18. I think I'm missing one. I think I'm missing something here. Good Lord. Okay, 16, 20, 76, 46, 14, 19, 20, 18. I'm sorry this takes so long. This is now 10 and 47. There we go. So let's go ahead and stat. At least we're getting a lot of practice doing our one variable statistics here, right? So let's go ahead and do that. So our SX to one decimal place, that looks like it's going to be 21. Okay, so we'll try it again. So I just like 21. Okay, we'll see. So you can see this is kind of picky. Okay, so let's see. Double check here. Looks like 21. To one decimal place, that 7 is going to round this. So we're just going to say 21 here. Okay, 21. We're going to recheck. All right, and like that one. All right. Compute sample standard deviation for the breweries west of the Mississippi, and then round that ends for the 2 decimal places. So I'm going to go ahead and pause so I can type those in, and then we'll keep going. All right, so in this case, I went to the breweries west of the Mississippi, make sure we got the right thing. I got fancy. I used it in this too. So I'm looking at that, it's 305. That's what that looks like. We have a 15, 17, 31, looks like 111, 21, and 6. So we're going to go to stat. We're going to stat calculate one variable stats. What would you like to do it on? In this case, I'm going to say the second function list 2 because we want the west-handed side. So now we're getting fancier here. So my sample standard deviation. Okay, find. I'm going to pause. Okay, gotta love South Valley. So there we go. So we paused, and there we have our sample standard deviation. It's going to look like 108, and how many decimal places did it want? One decimal place. So this is 108, and this 6 is going to turn this 5 into a 6. We're going to say 108.6 here. Okay, so I like 108.6. So this is 108.6. Check. This is not a good time to do videos. All right. Based on the standard deviations, which has the greater spread? Okay, so samples the standard deviation is 21 for east of the Mississippi, 108 for west of the Mississippi. So it looks like the west of the Mississippi has a much bigger spread. So east of the Mississippi is less than the spread for the west of the Mississippi. Okay, so that's what we're going to check. Hooray, and then we'll continue on. Okay, so there we go. All right. House prices. Okay, house prices of thousands of dollars. We're just going to take the data as we have it here, and then we are going to go through and check. So I'm going to go ahead and double check here, find the population standard deviation for 2018. I have a feeling they're going to ask us for both of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause. I'm going to put both of these in. Same deal. Okay, we do stat. I'm just going to type in 2008 on one list and 2019 or 2018 on one list, 2019 on the other. So we're going to go ahead and pause, and I'll come back right after that. It's there. And I'm kind of glad I paused because it took me a little while to type these numbers in, but all I did was take the 2008 and put them in column 1. Okay, and then so then we can have my calculator back. I just use the arrow keys to move over to the different columns, and I just typed in the other ones in there. So hopefully those are typed in correctly. That's my biggest issue. That's probably going to be yours too. That's why I don't want to do too many numbers. I think this is the appropriate size problem. This is about right. I wouldn't want to do one that was bigger than this. Okay, find the population standard deviation. So we're going to go back to stat 2018. So we're going to go ahead and do calculation or one variable statistics. Which one we want? Now list 1 is actually important because that's the 2008. Okay, and they want population. So that's this funny sigma. That's the little sigma here. So they want to 2 decimal places. That's 136.81. This would go to 3 decimal places, but we're just going to say 136.81 here. So we're going to say 136.81. All right, we'll check that one. Check. Hooray. And then population for standard deviation for 2019. So we're going to go to stat, calc, one variable statistics. Okay, but now we're going to do list 2 because we got fancy, right? And it looks when they set my population standard deviation for 2019, that was 140. Okay, so it's just going to be 140. Okay, and again, the 1 decimal place, that was 0.0. Okay, so 140.0. So we'll go ahead and check that. All right, fingers are crossed. We did okay. So it looks like 136 is a smaller number than 2019. So this has increased. Okay, housing prices increased in variability. Okay. We're not doing averages. We don't know like the actual prices. That would be the average, right? But the spread, the variability got higher from one to the other. Okay, we'll check and then we'll say great, and then we'll go on to the next one. Continue. All right, and we're just going to keep going with that. All right, let me go ahead and pause so I can put this in here for us. Okay. Pause. All right, so this one we have following table represents the time taken to review articles that were submitted to a publication. A few articles took longer than 6 months to review. Okay, and then these were omitted from the results. Okay, consider the data to be a population. That's important. So we have to read the whole thing to make sure we're looking for this as a population. Now, this is what they call a grouped mean or grouped standard deviation. Okay, so what we have to do is we have to take the midpoint of these times and we're going to multiply them by the articles. Okay, so what's going to happen here is we're going to take the midpoints. So you see how it goes from 0 to 1. What's halfway between 0 and 1 is going to be 0.5. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to make ourselves a little table here. We're going to say, okay, well, this is our value. Okay, this is going to be our x here. Let's see if I can do this. So we have our x's. Okay, this is the time. Oops, I want to write. I don't want to use this mouse. I want to write, draw. Okay, so we're going to have our t or our x here, and then the number of times it happened. Okay, so this is our count or our frequency. Okay, so between 0 and 1, we have 0.5. So this is 0.5. Okay, it's just averaging 0 and 1. And this happened 46 times. Okay, so we had 0.5 happen 46 times. What's the difference between, or what's the middle between 1 and 2? It's like 1.5. Okay, so 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 divided by 2, 1.5. And this happened 1.5 times. That's going to be in this range right here. So we're going to have a 16 times here. Okay, and we're just going to carry through until we have our little table created here. Okay, so that's what we're doing, is just organizing this and making a little table. So it'll go from 1 to 2. Okay, that's we just did that one. We were going to go from 2 to 3, so that's going to be 2.5, right? 2 plus 3 is 5. Divided by 2 is 2.5, so 2.5. Okay, and that happened 15 times. All right, then we're going to have 3.5. Okay, so we're just 3 plus 4, 7. 7 divided by 2, 7.5. And then look at where this is, right? 3.5 happened on this row, and this happened 19 times. So we're going to have our 19 sitting here. All right, we have our 14, 4.5 rather. Okay, we're just carrying off the pattern. 4.5, this happened 12 times. Okay, and then we're going to have 5 to 5.9. Okay, so that's going to be 5.5. Okay, that's the last one. We're not looking at averaging 5 to 5.9, right? You sense a pattern here, right? We went from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. Could you guess what the next one's going to be, right? It's going to be 6. So we're going to say 5.5, and this happened 14 times. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pause this for just a second so I can type this into the computer, and then we'll see what happens. All right, so I just broke to change and just put these values into the computer. So 0.5, there's list 2 is 46, 1.5, 16, 2.5, there's 15 times that happened, 3.5, that's 19. So it's important to make sure that these are lined up, because that's basically important in this case. Okay, so they're all lined up to make sure I have the right X values with the right frequencies. We're going to go ahead and hit stat. We're going to hit calculate. In this case, we want to do 2 variable statistics. We have 2 columns now. Okay, so we're going to do 2 variable statistics. So we're going to hit enter. And you're going to say list 1, comma, list 2. And the calculator knows that one of these is the value and one is the frequency. It knows that. Okay, so you just have to type in list 1, list 2, put the values and then the frequencies in list 2, and that's how we're going to do it. Okay, enter, and then we have our values. So we're going to treat these as a population, remember? So we want sigma, and then our population standard deviation here, right? They wanted, make sure I've got this. They want the variance. Okay, they want the variance. So we're going to type in how many decimal places they want. So we went 1.78487. We're going to say 1.7849. Okay, so we want 1. So we don't want 1.7849. Okay, that's rounded to that many decimal places. And then we'll say squared, because they want the variance. So it's important to remember it's sigma squared. So 1.7849 squared. And we end up with how many decimal places? They want 2 decimal places. 3.1. This 5 is going to change this 8 to a 9. So I want 3.19. Okay, so we want 3.19. Oh, if I can get to this. 3.19, there we go. Okay, appropriately figure out the standard deviation times 2 decimal places. So standard deviation is going to be 1 point. Again, they want population, right? Oh, did I do the population? I don't know if I did. Okay, I did 1.7849 squared. I did. Okay. So what population? So what the Greek sigma, so that's the two decimal places, 1.78. And that's what's going to stand for that one. So we'll say 1.78 here, 1.78. Our standard deviation, treating them as a population. Okay. And then we'll check. Fingers crossed. Yay. Okay, and then we'll continue on. But that's how you do when you have this groups data, is you do two columns, and that's how you go ahead and sort that out. I'm going to go ahead and break this, and this will be homework walk through part 1, and then we'll do some more. Okay, so we'll go ahead and end